Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. Never was anything great achieved without danger. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. It is much safer to be feared than loved, because love is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage, but fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo, I want to overthrow it. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. All courses of action are risky, so prudence is not in avoiding danger, it's impossible, but calculating risk and acting decisively. Make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not the strength to suffer. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. How we live is so different from how we ought to live that he who studies what ought to be done rather than what is done will learn the way to his downfall rather than to his preservation. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch, because everyone can see but few can test by feeling. Everyone sees what you seem to be, few know what you really are, and those few do not dare take a stand against the general opinion. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Men are so simple of mind, and so much dominated by their immediate needs, that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. A man who is used to acting in one way never changes. He must come to ruin when the times, in changing, no longer are in harmony with his ways. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are. Wisdom consists of knowing how to distinguish the nature of trouble, and in choosing the lesser evil. It must be considered that there is nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to handle, than to initiate a new order of things. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. He who becomes a prince through the favor of the people should always keep on good terms with them, which it is easy for him to do, since all they ask is not to be oppressed. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of your enemy. In conclusion, the arms of others either fall from your back, or they weigh you down, or they bind you fast. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. He who builds on the people builds on the mud. Everyone who wants to know what will happen or to examine what has happened, everything in this world in any epoch has their replicas in antiquity. Nature creates few men brave. Industry and training makes many. A prince must not have any other object nor any other thought but war, its institutions, and its discipline, because that is the only art befitting one who commands. Half of these aren't even Machiavelli. Some are Plato, Thucydides, etc. Does nt anyone check these? Men never do good unless necessity drives them to it. But when they are free to choose and can do just as they please, confusion and disorder become rampant. One should never fall in the belief that you can find someone to pick you up. I hold strongly to this, that it is better to be impetuous than circumspect, because fortune is a woman, and if she is to be submissive, it is necessary to beat and coerce her. My view is that it is desirable to be both loved and feared, but it is difficult to achieve both, and if one of them has to be lacking, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. The best fortress is to be found in the love of the people, for although you may have fortresses, they will not save you if you are hated by the people. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. The best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of his people. Men intrinsically do not trust new things that they have not experienced themselves. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. A prudent man will always try to follow in the footsteps of great men and imitate those who have been truly outstanding, so that, if he is not quite as skillful as they, at least some of their ability may rub off on him. For, in truth, there is no sure way of holding other than by destroying. The wise man should always follow the roads that have been trodden by the great, and imitate those who have most excelled, so that, if he cannot reach their perfection, he may at least acquire something of its savour. It is necessary for a prince wishing to hold his own to know how to do wrong, and to make use of it or not according to necessity. He who causes another to become powerful ruins himself, for he brings such a power into being either by design or by force, and both of these elements are suspects to the one whom he has made powerful. Being feared and not hated go well together, and the prince can always do this, if he does not touch the property or the women of his citizens and subjects. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. I desire to go to hell and not to heaven. In the former I shall enjoy the company of popes, kings and princes, while in the latter are only beggars, monks and apostles. Everything that occurs in the world, in every epoch, has something that corresponds to it in ancient times. Men desire novelty to such an extent that those who are doing well wish for a change as much as those who are doing badly. Hence it comes that all armed prophets have been victorious, and all unarmed prophets have been destroyed. For whoever believes that great advancements and new benefits make men forget old injuries is mistaken. Minds are of three kinds. One is capable of thinking for itself, another is able to understand the thinking of others, and a third can neither think for itself nor understand the thinking of others. The first is of the highest excellence, the second is excellent, and the third is worthless. We have not seen great things done in our time except by those who have been considered mean, the rest have failed. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will, and that share of glory which belongs to us. For he who innovates will have for his enemies all those who are well off under the existing order of things, and only lukewarm supporters in those who might be better off under the new